Well, let's call to order the meeting. We'll do a quick roll call. Jim Jordan, Steve Bernstein,
Present.
Steve Bishop, also present. Happy to be here. Let's ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, it's good to see everybody. Thank you very much for coming. And let's get right into approved meeting minutes.
Two of them, in fact. So I would like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the March 24th meeting of the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I now make a motion to approve the April 8th meeting minutes of the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good job, Brooke.
Thank you, Board.
All right, we'll go right down the line. Plan review for 225 South Worcester Street project. We have that here, right?
Should have, it's the small one.
There's something.
That one
Yeah,
there.
oh, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep. Okay, do we have anyone here for?
Yes, my name's Peter Lavoie. I work with D&L Design Group. I am present. My client, Ryan DeValley, is also present from Heritage Realty. I do have plans if I can share, if that would help.
Great, yep.
Can everyone see that?
Busy, but we can see it.
You got it, yep. Okay, so like I said, my name's Peter Lavoie. I work with D&L Design Group. This project is located at 225 South Worcester Street, which runs along the right side of the page here. The railroad tracks run right across the top of the page, which is to the north. And then Dean Street, this is where the Dean Street and South Worcester Street intersection is. So this is right after that intersection. So we have roughly 23-acre parcel. I can give you an overview of what the existing looks like. So this is the overall parcel here. It's made up of four parcels, which total the 23.9 acres in size. Here is Dean Street and South Worcester intersection down to the lower right corner of the page, and the train tracks run along the top of the page here. So what we want to do is we want to construct a cul-de-sac, which is roughly 1,260 lineal feet, comes in between 235 and 223 South Worcester Street. So 223 is in this location, 235 is at the lower portion of the page. The road comes in, there is a small crossing over the wetlands, and we come up to the cul-de-sac in this location here, which, like I said before, was 1,260 lineal feet. The proposed road will service 15 duplexes, so that'll be 30 units. So we are proposing these units will be on septic. We have two systems back here behind 1 and 2, and then there's a large shared system behind unit 12 and 13. So what we're proposing is to tie in to the water line between 223 and 235 in this location here, 8-inch ductile line coming up. The first hydrant is roughly at station 375. I wanted to have a hydrant on this side of the crossing to service these two units. The next hydrant comes up and it's at 825. And then the last hydrant is in the cul-de-sac, which is roughly at station 1200. I did send this plan to the fire chief, and he did approve, and he made me change the hydrant in the cul-de-sac to this location. So these hydrants have been looked at by the fire chief and they have been approved by him, the location. So that 8-inch line will come up and then it'll go through this 16-foot wide piece of, it's a parcel that's part of this project, and it will tie back into the water line on South Worcester Street. So we are getting that loop, that water line loop. I did see Frank did email me, this afternoon, and he said, a couple things, that this 90 would not be allowed, so I'll adjust that. And he said that, each hydrant would have to have 3 valves, on them, so I will also add that. So I guess that's an inline valve. He made a comment about that, inline gate valves for the development. I'm also proposing each unit to have its own water service. So you'll have 30 water services off this 8-inch ductile iron, line. Each unit each one of these units are 3 bedrooms. So you'll have 330 gallons per day per unit. And I think that's about it. And if you have any questions.
So what's the, how are you tying in on Worcester Street?
I was proposing, tap and sleeve, but Frank had mentioned in his letter that you guys are, you're expecting, and he wasn't exact if there's an upgrade on the water line in South Worcester Street. So he said that, we could, kind of hopefully if timing is right, we could fit in, and as they come by the site, that they would put the stubs there. I don't know if you have a copy of he emailed me.
We do.
You doing a 3-gate cluster out there
Yeah.
too? Or just,
That's gonna be
We're
a
aware of
T
all
and
of it.
valve off the new main,
so just like a tap and sleeve?
just like a tap and sleeve valve, it'd be a solid T.
Yeah. We're gonna be out there working on it anyway.
We don't need the extra valves in that area?
No,
I mean,
that'll be all up to code with the new main going in.
Okay, good.
So,
okay.
So Frank, what do we need to do to, where are we in the approval of this, the fact that we don't have final drawing?
we could get the final drawings with the updates that were mentioned, taking care of that 90-degree turn and adding the 3-way clusters. We can get you a full hard copy set and have them signed if you wanted to basically approve this pending those drawings. Everything we've worked with, John has worked with Peter quite a bit on this, and it seems like it's moving along the way it needs to.
We've approved
separation,
plans pending changes.
we have,
before.
yeah,
That'd be fine with me.
okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Is there a reference number for the set of plans at all, or?
Basically by it.
D-6.1, is that right, Steve?
Is that good enough to do that, or
I would do it by address, just in case.
I would do it
the-
by address also?
the
Okay.
reference changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the water plans for 225 South Worcester Street, pending the changes referencing the 90-degree bend and the 3-way gate valves installed at the hydrant locations.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So he knows what he needs to do, right? You have to update the plan?
Yes, I will. I'll update the plan, and Frank said he wanted 2 sets, so I can get him 2 sets.
Okay, we'll then sign them and approve them.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Good
Okay,
presentation.
good night. Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
This is pretty cut and dried. This is,
Yeah, John worked on this quite a bit
Yeah.
while I was out, and pretty basic, design. Works out well that they already had that easement there for the loop. too.
yeah, that's nice,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, moving right along to 10 West Main Street project, plan review. We have anyone here for that?
I am.
Oh,
Chris Bernard.
Oh, Chris, okay.
And Rich Riccio is here from Field on the Zoom.
Hi, Richard.
How are we doing this evening?
Very well, very well. Thank you for coming in.
I'm gonna share the site plan, so we can talk about that first, and then, we'll talk more about the flows and the fees that we had started touching on at the last meeting. Can we, see the plan, on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, just showing this is the 10 West Main Street, the proposed multi-use building that we discussed at your last meeting. I did revise the water service based on the discussions we had at the meeting, bringing a 1/8 inch water across into the site, and then we would have a domestic service and a fire service off of that, and then extended further down the to bring a hydrant closer to the back of the building. I believe that we had discussed that as well. Our original design was for I'm trying to think of the number of bedrooms we had originally, but we've cut that down.
28.
Yeah, we've
28
cut
to
that
28, I
down
think.
to 14 one-bedroom units and 3 two-bedroom units. We're gonna be reducing the elevation of the building to be a 2-story building instead of 3 stories, trying to fit a little bit more into the historic district commission's idea of what the building should look like in that area. No change to the sewer connection from what we previously discussed. We tie it into the existing stub that came in during the sewer project. And we've made provisions for a grease trap for kitchen waste for any potential kitchen use in the retail space that's in the first floor of the building. Plan wise, I think we covered pretty much most of this in the last meeting, and just wanted to provide the update based on your recommendations at the meeting we had previously, and welcome any additional questions on the plans.
I'd like to just say the reason why it's changed. So our initial, we went through planning board, we got all the approvals through all the departments. Historic had a problem with the height of the building. Even though I could have done another floor, I opted not to because I wanted to have it look good next to the church. They still didn't like it. So what we did was we had to bring it down, and in order to make it financially feasible, the project, losing all that floor with the pillar. So what we did was we converted them to one bedrooms. Just to try to get a number of units in and make it make sense monetarily.
So there's just the 14 one-bedroom units, so that's not the that's gonna-
Well, right now, it's either gonna be, it could be 17 units. Right now, we're gonna change everything.
Right.
Rich, on the plan, on your summary here, I think you have a couple of 2 bedrooms. Well, this is all brand information, so the last second I asked my architect, you better lose the 2 bedrooms in the back, because they're still, they didn't, not only did they not like the height of the building, they didn't like the width of the building. So I said, look, I don't want to delay the project anymore. It's been sitting there for so long, so I said, let's lose the last 2 units and just make the third, you don't even know this, Rich.
Okay.
Make this a third, the remaining 2 bedroom, make it just a 1 bedroom. I think we're gonna probably end up with 15 single, 1 bedroom.
So it'll be all 1 bedroom.
Yes. And then the retail space in front. So it wasn't ideal for the project we initially wanted, but
You can't dig down at all, do the half in the ground units or
Sink it a
anything
little
like
bit
that?
to get it on the floor. Yeah, we didn't look into that because what we don't know yet is, I know that they had a lot of ledge around
They
there.
definitely did.
And, it's already been kind of taking way too long to get the project going. We just want to get moving on it, and we just have to we haven't had the final meeting with the historic yet on the changes, but, we did everything they basically wanted, so. So I think we're gonna end up with, I'm gonna say 15 one-bedroom units.
So that will, I would have to I'll have to reissue this letter with the projected sewer flows one more time. So we could calculate the total fees, but I know Chris still wants to explore, the fee aspect of this as well.
Yes.
All right. So what do you propose?
Well, what I was hoping the board would, work with me here on is that, I have to go back to the project, it's 299 South Washington Street. There's the 5 acre parcel that I owned, and then there's another parcel across the street that's owned, but the water line didn't make it to it. It stopped at Commerce. So thanks to Frank and Jared, we were able to extend that water line. Utilizing an old line that was in, for the desalinization line that was there years ago, we were able to use a good part of that. And add the fire hydrants and fix the 90s that were already in the road. We did all that work. And I'm hoping that the cost, even though that I don't own that land anymore, I'm hoping that the cost of that project can be applied to this one. I'm hoping that that's what we can do. So we had, in excess of $80,000 into that street work, adding the water lines, the hydrants. So, Rich is actually working with the people that did buy the land, building that building. And, I'm hoping that I can work with the fees to apply it to the bank site, especially after losing the other four.
So Frank,
Mhm.
John, what's your take?
Typically, anytime a discount or anything has been done, it's been on that project, not extended to other projects that happen in the future. So that's historically what's been done. Obviously, this is a different board, and this is the first time that something like this has been presented and asked.
There's also, and I know we had spoken about this last time, kind of a way to maybe not as far as waive fees, but meet them on the middle ground on the sewer connection fee, where we had spoken about, and we had spoken with our engineers about this after the meeting too, to see what their view on it was. If it was just a apartment building, it'd be pretty much cut and dry that each apartment is its own EDU, which, obviously makes the project much more expensive. So because it's a mixed use building and it's the board's decision, but doing some quick math here, Rich, I don't know if you've had time to do any math either, but to me, it looks like you're reducing the project down to 6 EDUs, which comes out to $96,000 for sewer capacity.
Yeah,
Instead of,
Pro rata adjustment.
that would be the pro rata. The pro rata is, we had discussed with our engineers, their way of calculating it. If it was just an apartment building, how it would usually be, that's 15 EDUs, which is $240,000.
Right.
So that's a big difference between the two costs, and, which, we had spoken, we definitely don't want to jam any projects up or anything like that, but it's something that the board's gonna have to decide on, because we're kind of wading into new territory here of
Yeah.
the expansion of the town that has never really been an issue before, so. As far as mixed use buildings.
I would be more okay with that than waiving the connection fees.
Rich, do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, do you still see my screen? This is
Yeah.
based on the 20, I think it was 20 bedrooms that we had in my letter.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you went down to like you said, if we have the 15 bedrooms, we'll say it's gonna come down to like 6 EDUs, which would be the 6 times the 16 in this area right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about, but as far as, if, the board were so inclined, they could be saying that each apartment is an EDU as defined by, it's a single family residence. So, it's within their right to ask for a much higher sewer tie-in cost. It seems like, from my brief discussions with them, they're more leaning towards your calculations and the calculations we had discussed with our engineers. But, that's kind of, I think, where the give and take's most likely gonna come.
How
on
does
this
the
project.
adjustment happen where it goes from 15 EDUs down to 6 EDUs? How does that work?
It's based on actual,
The number of overall.
yeah,
bedrooms,
you're
okay.
taking a total bedroom
Okay.
count instead of an EDU count per apartment.
Being that they're only one bedroom.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Now, was there already a betterment paid on that property?
There was,
How
there
does
was.
that-
So that would be subtracted from,
That would be
the total.
subtracted, because that's already been paid.
Yep.
So whatever the total.
so it's
rent is,
really,
16
yeah,
comes off.
so yes, so it's really actually, I think would be 80, is that 80,000, I think it would be.
I don't know if it's been paid in full. When I bought the
Yes.
property.
It should have been paid
I
in full
believe
when
it
the,
should have
when
been.
the, I'm pretty sure that when the title or the deed transfers, it needs to be paid off.
I don't think it was, because every February, I think I get the tack on. and
Okay,
change it.
well, we'll have to
Whatever I
look
bought
into
the
that.
house, investigate that.
Might have slipped through the cracks, but I think it's technically considered a lien against the property,
Okay.
so, so as far as if you're doing 6 EDUs minus the one that you've theoretically already paid for, that's 5 EDUs, which is 5 times 16 is 80,000.
So you're saying, John, as opposed to looking at it individually, you're saying the calculation, the way.
Right,
Rich did here.
yeah, if you were putting up an apartment building with no commercial development at all, it's pretty cut and dry that each apartment would be its own $16,000 betterment fee. Or in this case, not a betterment, it's a, what's it called? Privilege fee?
Privilege
charge? Yeah,
Privilege fee.
so, you know, we're actually dealing with this with another project that could be going on on West Main Street, so.
Is that the same thing, retail and then?
It's not retail, it's just residential. So that's, you'll be hearing from them in the future. But because this is a mix of commercial and residential, you know, it's a little bit of a horse of a different color.
Is this gonna set a precedent so that anybody that throws any retail, anything on the first floor will automatically get?
Most likely,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, it's, everything's the board's jurisdiction, so, I mean, it's most likely precedent setting as far as mixed use buildings.
We can call it a pilot program, just to
Yeah.
see.
Okay, right. So, since we're having the camera down, I mean, here we have new information about the makeup of the building. And you don't have that solidified yet. Is it too premature to actually do this at this moment in time? Or should
Ye-
we do
I
it?
think you could
with
vote.
condition?
You could at least probably vote
Vote for what we
on
just talked
whether
about?
you're
On the
gonna go with a pro
calculations.
rata calculation or the
Okay.
strict EDU calculation.
agree.
Not that it really, I suppose the plans could be approved as is, because as far as
No, the plans are fine.
yeah, water
Right.
sizing and all
Okay.
that,
You
everything's
guys are
gonna
good.
same.
Okay,
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, I think you could do the plans and then maybe
So we
do
do
two
two
separate votes,
motions.
do 2 motions, yeah. I think that would, you know, set the ball rolling, and obviously it'd be beneficial for you to know,
Yeah.
you know, that you have the board support, especially going back to the historic
No doubt.
commission as well, that definitely couldn't hurt.
So I like John's suggestion about the 6 EDUs.
The pro rata adjustment.
That's my opinion, but
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
pretty fair and reasonable.
And then there'll be that would be the 80, and then they'd have the 50 for the
Whatever,
water,
whatever.
so.
Yeah,
Yes,
separate
yeah,
fees.
the water would not be waived as part of this, yeah.
There are no complaints.
No, you
Also
don't,
not the, you don't have the.
you don't have the
plans
plans
are
on that.
up there. You don't
All
have
right, so we
copies.
just reference the address then again, right?
It's,
Yeah.
the
Plan-
plan,
West Main
Footprint of the
Street.
building is not
10
changing.
West Main Street.
Okay. Were there any changes that we had to make? That was pretty much,
no, we were gonna get a couple copies of these once they were updated with the changes to the water line. So I'm sure Rich can get those over to us at some point, we can get those signed.
Okay.
In this last.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then to approve the water sewer plans for 10 West Main Street.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now we need to make another motion for the, what do we call it, the veterans, right? So I will make a motion to use the pro rata adjustment when calculating betterments for 10 West Main Street.
Is that good then?
That's it.
that
Okay.
the way you wanna?
They're good.
I think that sounds fine.
Okay.
Should we, sorry, should we call
We
it
don't
a
know what the
privilege?
number is until we lock down the number.
Say that again, Rich?
I think it was Ryan from.
It was me. I
Oh,
was gonna say,
sorry.
should we call it a privilege fee rather than the betterment?
Privilege.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
that'd be fine. Thank you, Ryan.
So I amend my motion to refer to it as a privilege fee.
I amend my second. The right to
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you
No
all.
problem.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
All right,
Rich.
thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take care.
You too.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Moving right along. Next we have, 60 South Lister Street, Bill Dispute. Do we have Robert on? Or Kathleen?
Does not appear to be anybody
Okay.
up there.
Give you guys, Brooks email and whatever attachment.
Yes. So these people do not live there.
Yeah, this is a,
They live in Florida, and according to them, the house has been vacant. They've had some people, some relatives, I'm assuming is that right, folks? Some relatives that went in there, and they said things were moved around, making it, could be, unauthorized use by trespassers, as it's written. But we're also talking an incredible amount of water, even if someone was living there.
one of the things I noticed is that one of his requests is to schedule inspection of water meter. So that, I'm taking that as he's.
So you're gonna get that
requesting to
tested?
Have the water meter tested, right?
I do not know if he's contacted us. Brooke, do you know if,
Not in regards to having the meter tested.
because I know they don't live there.
I mean, he's got 4 bullet points in his dispute letter, and one of them is to test the meter, so I don't know if we wanna. Maybe reach out to him and ask him, we can do that. And
So what
it's
you
done.
talked about that one and to check the property, he mentioned that he was all set where his brother and sister-in-law went to the property. And noticed things, so he didn't request,
So he doesn't.
But we haven't done any kind of audit type of inspection, though, right? We haven't.
right,
done
because the
it.
house has been vacant, so
Okay.
we cannot go inside.
Right. I mean, we really need to do that, but, I mean,
Due diligence would be to have the meter tested before making any.
without question, yeah.
I mean, it looks like
Any
Chris was in there, and he
determinations.
took a hard reading from the meter, so. Is that right?
He was able to get it read. He didn't look into, I don't think he gained access to the house.
So he pulled us an electronic read as far as our.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So,
Are these all actual reads as well? Yeah, yeah.
it appears the water went through the meter.
That's
Yeah,
what-
definitely because the water to the meter, but it also.
Where it all went, who knows?
He has an active investigation with the Norton Police Department, it seems like, about squatters living there.
So. In any regards, whether or not squatters live there, who's on the hook for the water bill?
That's what I want.
Well, they are, they're responsible,
Unfortunately,
they're
it's supposed to be the
responsible.
property owner, yeah.
So the way it would play out is if whoever the squatters were, if they got caught and arrested, he would have to go after them for it,
Is,
essentially, because.
is sewer a part of this, this,
I don't think so.
this fee? So this is just water?
Yeah.
That's an incredible amount of water.
Can we figure out how many gallons that was?
How many units is it?
400
413?
400 plus units.
413.
So Chris did notice a hose hooked up on the side of the house.
Yeah,
I don't know, if maybe somebody was using the hose or.
It's 309,000 gallons.
and that's over the period of, say, in there,
Well, they got a read in December,
across March 19th.
month.
Reading December appear to be normal, Steve.
Yeah, it's 7,
So it happened.
Yeah.
it's lower,
At some
actually.
point over the course of 3 months.
That's one of the lower reads, the lowest read that they got.
Yeah.
So that's probably when they were gone.
If you would assume that amount was spread out over 3 months, what does that come out to per day?
Oh, let's see.
Like, is it possible to have that much water going through the pipe?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Most definitely.
It's 3,500 gallons a day, 33.
Wow, 30 gallons a minute. 28.
So if you had a hose full on, you'd end up with more.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to have something pretty open.
And
Doesn't really make any sense.
And if they gained access and it didn't appear there was any major damage, as we've seen in the past, how much damage water does, it indicates, it was either a toilet
Toilet?
going into the septic system where there was no damage being created, a shower, same thing,
Yeah.
or an external device like a hose, being left
Could a leaky
on.
toilet like that for 3 months? Go through that much water?
That's pretty
It's
excessive for a
it's
toilet.
24, yeah, that is a lot. Yeah.
Well, the suspect is the fact that there's a hose. Whether or not the hose was connected to somewhere that somebody was hauling water out, who
Mhm.
knows? I mean,
And that wasn't turned off to our knowledge, I'm
If
assuming.
someone was so brazen to squat in this place for a few months, they would probably be brazen enough to do something like that.
Yeah, actually, it's, what did I say it was? It was 309,000 gallons, call it 90 days. That's 3,500, and then it's what, 1440 minutes in a day? Yeah, so you're only talking about less than 3 gallons a minute.
I mean, you're at the max capacity of an older toilet, which, it is possible, but most.
What is like a
toilets find
typical
out.
residential garden hose? If full on?
Depending on the size of the service, you can get 7.5 gallons a minute out of it. If it's an older house and has 1/2 inch plumbing, you're gonna be cut down
Yeah.
substantially, but you can move some pretty good water, especially with the pressures that we run at in town. The higher the pressure, you can get a little bit more volume out of it, so.
So the question is whether or not we do something today, or wait for the police to investigation report, but in any regards, it went to the meter.
It's almost like whether there was a squatter that stole it or whether it was a leak, it's almost irrelevant because it went into the meter, right? I mean,
Well, we gotta get the meter tested. That was one thing that I would recommend it, but do we encumber that? Or is that's something they encumber, because they're the ones disputing
The
this.
board could make the decision to take that fee on, just to prove the fact that the meter is working.
I mean, I have no problem doing that.
What's
I
the
mean,
fee?
I believe it's
$60.
$75.
No, that's not bad.
Right.
So I
But we can do that, we can say we wanna test your meter and they can't say no.
So we offer to do a leak detection, where it's vacant, see if someone else can meet out there, and the guy had no one to meet us, so I don't know if we'd have someone to meet us to get the meter tested,
Test the
but I
water.
could definitely reach out to him.
So I suggest that we vote to do that, send them a letter requesting that we make arrangements to test the meter. We'll pay for the price, but we need access and we need to do that. We give him a time frame to do it. And if he doesn't do it, then he doesn't get that privilege and we bill him for the amount of money.
What do we give them?
I
30
mean, I
days?
mean, I think, it's, if we test the meter and we encumber the fee for that, what does this do going forward? What's in our rules and regulations? I thought it was always on, the behalf of the homeowner, the
If
customer.
they request the
to-
meter to be tested,
They pay for the test, and if it comes back not within the guidelines,
then we make an
then-
adjustment to the bill and pay for the
and pay
meter
for the meter
testing.
test.
This is just kind of a flip
In this case,
scenario.
they wanted to pay for the meter to prove that.
That's why I
Prove
don't
accuracy.
wanna go into,
Mhm.
salty waters here, as it were.
So should we do it as a motion to waive their fee for testing the meter? Or a motion to declare that we wanna test the meter?
Well, I mean, they're disputing the bill. They should make that request to us, and they need to pay for the test, as anyone else would have to do, as per our regulations. And then if it comes back on their behalf, then we make the adjustments as much as Frank
Well,
said.
we've already asked for it to do a leak detection and they haven't made arrangements to do such a thing. So the question is, we can make the same request to have accessibility in order to do this, again, on their nickel.
Mhm.
But if they don't wanna do that or don't allow us to do that, then our next recourse is send them a bill.
Bill,
Brooke, when did you say Chris got a reading
Yes,
recently?
Electronically.
Yes.
he did.
And
So
what's,
we went on April 14th, shut the water off, and he got the reading that was the same as March 3rd. Which was
3910.
So no use in,
Yeah, there's no use between them.
And they're all actual reads, so. like, Um.
Definitely a unique situation.
Yeah, and it's a lot of water, but it's also,
It's not like it's impossible for it to happen and go through some device inside the house, whether it be, a faucet or a toilet or something. So if somebody did gain access, as it appears, stuff was moved around, there's a good possibility that they may have used.
so
you know,
this homeowner, when
purposes.
the house is vacant, the homeowner went wherever. Did not shut off water in the house or request such a shut off. Is
Correct.
that correct? Okay.
Which is actually very common. A lot of people go away for extended periods of time and do not want the water shut off, whether it be,
Heating system.
they have a heating system that requires it. They have, somebody coming to check on the place. They may have pets or something, so it's not all that common that we get a request for water shut off at the street before people go away for extended periods of time. When situations like this happen, we always recommend it if they're going to be somebody who goes away on a regular basis or, has nobody to watch over the place, but, again, very seldom happens.
Could be the sum of a lot of leaks too.
I think the most likely scenario is someone used the toilet was running, and whoever
stuck.
entered the house next used the toilet and the toilet.
It's stuck.
Right. So
That's what I would
for
say
2
is
months,
the
it was
most
just
likely.
basically running.
And I know it's hard to hear that a toilet can use that much water, but toilet going straight for
24/7.
2.5 months. only use that much
24/7,
water.
yep.
So what do you need for a motion, if anything?
Yeah, do we even do anything or we just take no action?
We have to, I don't think we really need to vote on anything. I would say we just have to,
Just
we
reach
can,
out to him
right,
and
reach
say-
out, yeah,
Offer to test the meter.
test the meter. We also need to do, like Frank said, do our due diligence. We need to go in there and check. We need to go around to make sure, cause if there's water staining that, and the water dissipated in I don't know if this house has a basement or if it has crawl space or whatever. I mean, we don't know. That's the kind of stuff that we really kind of need to look
So
into.
in this letter, do you want to put a time frame for required response?
I would
Shouldn't
say
leave it
that's
open-ended.
30 days.
30
Yeah,
days.
we could give them 30 days.
Okay.
So we could be like,
So at our next meeting, we can have the same discussion and nip it in the bud.
Brooke, do we want to mention, the pausing of interest after, in the meantime, that bill's gonna be accruing interest that whole time. I
And I
don't,
know that was brought up too, and,
we
that
can
was
make a motion
maybe,
to
yep,
address that at a later time pending results of.
and we can
the test.
adjust, we can adjust at that time. We can adjust, yeah.
Um,
But we don't really need to make a vote on anything.
so we don't have a motion,
No.
take no action for
Just
that.
ask them.
continue.
Just reach out to them and give them 30 days to.
Something could Brooke to do it on one. Great, thanks.
We're gonna get Brooke more money.
Thank you, Brooke.
Okay.
Do we need to make a motion on the 30 days just to make it a hard date? Because we usually don't do that.
It's in the minutes.
It's
It's gonna be in the minutes that it was determined.
That's sweet.
Be nice to talk to these people too. Yeah. I mean, we can explain where we're coming from and what the potentials could be, so. Okay, all right. That was 60, all right, here's the fun part. Superintendent's updates.
I got a book for you guys. Starting off, we have the agreement that we need to have signed between us and, the contractor that's gonna be installing the tank aeration system.
Okay.
So we have two full copies here.
And that's one that we physically signed, that's not the one, we didn't authorize you to sign that. Okay, all right, just wanna make sure.
These, require board signatures. And see where-
Well, we got 4 copies?
There are 2 copies.
There, slipping.
No, you only need two now. We do electronic.
Sounds like you're feeling better, Tara.
He is, sounds good.
Better than this morning.
Anything you wanna add to this? I know they've all seen this. Thank you.
No, this is the contract we've been waiting for. So we have, once everybody signs in the Townsend, you'll have official start date there and you can enter it in the agreement. And then, your notice to proceed, Frank, once you have that official date, anytime within, 10 days or so of that date, you can put in for the effective date for the notice to proceed and issue that letter. So.
Okay.
Goal is to get it done this winter and have it online by spring.
So is this for the aeration and the cleaning and everything else that comes with it? This is just the aerator.
It's the aerator, mixer, and cleaning of the tank, and hopefully, knock on wood, not too many repairs, other than what we've kind of called out.
Okay, good. Well, that's a DN tank,
It is. That's the reason we had one bidder.
really? Okay,
That was simple, that part of it.
that was easy. Moving right along, I tell you.
I'm gonna touch base on some water treatment facility updates. The backwash pump that had failed was able to be rebuilt. It was reinstalled with brand new column piping. You may remember that there was some pictures that went around that the column piping at the threads had some deterioration on it. So we definitely didn't want to take any chances by putting that back in. Everything back installed, brand new, works, as it did 5 years ago. Also at the last meeting, I believe we had mentioned that we had one of the green sand filters that was offline. We had noticed some media coming through in the under drains. Based on the timing of the year, we actually worked with the engineers, who hired a filter specialist to come in, do an investigation, basically pump out all the media,
Yep.
go inside, physically inspect. Thankfully, knock on wood, there was actually nothing found wrong inside that would have created, basically the suck hole that was what was happening. Once we opened the hatch, you could see there was a big void. The only determination that was made is that the gravel layer at the base of the filter was insufficient. Now, where we didn't find any of this gravel in the under drains, the assumption is made that it was insufficient from the install. So it was recommended that obviously, we purchase more gravel, we bring that up to the manufacturer's spec, and replace the green sand, and then top it off with the carbon layer. Problem with green sand is not readily available right now. So while all this was going on, we had discussions with the engineers and with the filter specialists. We started noticing a second filter that was acting similar. So we ended up taking that offline, started putting it back on sporadically. It wasn't getting any better. So for quite a while, we had two filters that were offline, similar issues. We spoken with Tara and the filter specialist, and actually when they were coming back out to rebed the first filter, we had them do the work on the second one while they were there. They split the gravel, brought those up to where they needed to be. The green sand that was removed from each was returned equally, and we come up with, I think it was an inch or two short on the green sand, but we were able to top it off with the charcoal. And speaking with the engineers and with the filter specialist, there's going to be no noticeable difference between that small difference in green sand
Good.
to the carbon. So it worked out well. They were actually here last Friday. They went back online yesterday. So we're still doing some flushing, getting some of the real fine materials that are still coming through, which is it's common. It's going to take a few backwashes for that to the base material to settle out and everything get where it needs to be. But removal already seems like it's back to where it was prior to having the issues.
Good.
So those filters will be going online, if not today, tomorrow. And now we can go back to having the 6 full operational filters. Obviously, there's a substantial cost that comes with bringing in filter specialists. So we had actually, John had actually worked on this while I was out. We had come up with, getting an article into the special town meeting coming up this May, the 19th, I believe it is. Asking for $175,000 to be taken out of retained earnings to basically go for these unexpected and what we thought were looming issues. They came up a lot quicker than, anyone would have, expected. So we have that in the special. We have funding in place that we can pay for this by overrunning one of our line items, or the assumption is that this money will be made readily available at the town meeting after the vote, and it'll pay for the repairs and stuff that were done. So based on what we've seen and unfortunately, the history of failures and replacement parts that we've had in the past 5 years here, we're gonna be working with Tara and Ben to come up with, an expedited maintenance schedule for this facility. It seems like it's acting like it's a much older facility as far as some of the wear and tear that we've seen. So, even with, speaking with the column pipe manufacturer and stuff, it's stuff that he wouldn't anticipate seeing at something with such a young age. So he has also recommended, doing a little bit more investigation, getting in to see if that was just a one-off issue, seeing if some of the other column pipes are showing similar deterioration. And that'll kind of set us up for what the path is in the future for, any type of maintenance there. So while this money isn't gonna go very far, it'll be readily available if approved at the special. And then next year's budget, if we are looking that we're gonna be looking to do more maintenance on this facility than we anticipated within, we're 2 to 3 years early. Obviously our budget's gonna change drastically for the amount of money we're gonna have to add to it and see if we can pick it off. Hopefully over time, obviously if there's deterioration, we have to act and replace 3 things right away. Unfortunately, it sets us up for the same time frame in the future. The goal would be, if we have this pump and it was a one-off issue, every year we go and replace a pump, column pipe and shaft, and have that, be on a revolving schedule. Right. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, and until we know some of these answers, we can't determine what the maintenance schedule is gonna look like. So we also have the other issues that we've been talking about in the past with the ACO, with changes, with where our water comes from, what we're gonna do with the water treatment processes and all that. So it's all gonna factor into, the decisions that are made in the future. Over to board meetings. A few weeks ago, we met with the finance committee and the select board, to discuss the articles that we have in at the regular town meeting and the special. One of those articles was the modified version of the Elm Street project, which everybody's pretty well familiar with. Steve Peterson unfortunately isn't with us tonight. We have Ryan, if he's still awake. There he is. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, guys.
Basically, a brief presentation was presented. Ryan was not available, unfortunately. So Steve was able to go through it. Again, everybody's seen this. Everybody kind of knew that this was the next step. This is the last step. We don't have any more time. If we don't get it approved at this meeting, the project can't go through. Finance committee supported each of our article requests and supported the modified version of the Elm Street project. The select board supported all but one that we presented, and they did not support the modified version of Elm Street. So we're back to a split like we were, a while back.
It's a flip.
It's a flip. Yep.
From last time.
Yep.
It's better this way.
Possibly.
We will soon find out. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm not sure what else we can do. I think we've done, we've done more than. If they don't want it.
Yeah.
We'll go on to the next thing.
100%.
That's right.
And then everybody in Elm Street loses,
Unfortunately, and the town.
and the town loses, which is even bigger town.
So oddly enough, the timing of this fell where we met with the old select board.
I understand.
So now there's been some new changes and new members switched around. So we really don't know the current feelings of the new select board, whether that makes any difference or not. Whether they'll be vocal at town meeting for or against it.
Did they give any reasons or anything like that, or is that just, they don't really get into that?
They
I
really
mean,
weren't
okay,
very
I mean,
descriptive
just
on the reasons
asking,
why.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
There was some concern that we still don't have a full commitment from the prospective buyer. But again, that goes back to the chicken and the egg that we've been dealing with for a year and a half now. There was a question as to why the developer wasn't at the meeting. Didn't feel it was anything that had to do with her. It was just
Nothing at all.
a presentation of our modified article that they all knew was coming.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's unfortunate that, it is the way it is.
Well, there's nothing what we can do.
No, 100%. We've done above and beyond what we would have ever had to expect.
For it.
Yeah, so now we'll let the town meeting,
But
Run
he's gonna
its
have to move
course.
it, because if the finance committee approved it, they're gonna move it.
Correct.
So,
that's the assumption.
So, what happens that night for town meeting on presentation?
As far as I know, and Ryan can confirm this, I believe we are gonna do that very short, maybe 4 or 5 slideshow presentation.
Right.
That was shown to the finance committee and to the select board.
So Brian's doing, it, not
I-
Paul,
We'll find out.
correct?
I was gonna say it's gonna be me or Steve unless Mike Units says otherwise, but I think since Steve did the select board and the finance committee meetings, he'll probably be giving an updated version of the presentation that he gave there. Like you said, Frank, the shortened version of it, essentially, just to, he might dive into the background a little more just to reiterate, how we got to where we got to, but hammer on the points that he made to the select board and finance committees over the past couple of weeks.
Perfect.
So, yeah, again, I mean, it's the last shot, for this. I know there's been meetings that I've actually missed, with, the grant people. They are 100% behind this new version. There is some modifications that had to be done to the request, and I believe to some of the permitting paperwork. I think Ryan could speak to that if we really needed to get into it. But basically, they want us to spend that money.
Right, we
It's
understand.
horrible for the town to ever have to
Right.
give a grant back.
Yeah.
It really kind of gives you a black eye for future requests.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All this stuff is, it's not news.
and it's not chump change either, that's a big grant.
It is, pretty significant.
Only so much you can do.
True. So I'm gonna touch base a little bit about the ACO. During the attendance that we had at the select board meeting, Mike Units had asked, if I could briefly mention the ACO. I reminded the board that we had provided them with a copy of the actual ACO, and I also provided a letter explaining a brief explanation for each of the key points that were in there, because the ACO is definitely one-sided. It wasn't to downplay any of the situations that went on, it was just to show our response to each of them over the course of the time. Basically explained that, in the future, we're gonna see some significant projects being put forward. They are not suggestions, they are requirements. And that they're gonna come with some, pretty hefty price tags, and that, we would all benefit from having the board's support, as we all know how, much that plays into town meeting approval.
Yep.
So there were no questions asked about it. I've explained to them that they can obviously always reach out to us. They have multiple points of contact for myself and John. And, as far as I know, I haven't been contacted by any of them with any questions, and I think John's the same.
So Bob Kimball reached out to me
Okay,
and asked to have a joint meeting between us and the selectmen.
okay. This is
But I
nice.
don't know what that means, other than the fact we had an email conversation about it.
Okay, well, that's.
I don't know if they're,
That might be
Meeting
one of
this
the
week.
times on this board that someone from that board has reached out
Question.
to.
Question.
Bob and I have developed a working relationship on another issue in town, so,
Mhm.
He's an ally.
Nice.
And, I think maybe the new selectmen wanna know more about what the mystery board, the water and sewer commission is actually all about.
Who did they elect as chairman, actually?
Alec,
Alec Rich.
Oh, Alec,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, he was vice chair, I think. Okay.
Right. So, I'm gonna continue with the ACO. One part of the ACO was requiring us to respond back within 30 days from the execution of the document. We answered everything that they had on their list to us. Everything was submitted back to them on time. And, their response to what we've sent them is still under review as far as I'm aware of. Two of the major items that were on that list were things that we had already been working on to improve. Was the lead and copper sampling plan. This is the homeowners bottles that we've been unfortunately deficient on capturing all of them. And then the other was the updating the routine coliform sampling plan. So working with members of DEP, they had indicated that there was one small area in this corner of town that seemed to be deficient. And they requested that we put in additional sampling sites. So what we did is we actually put in 3 sample taps over on Parker Street at the rec center. So that way we have, you know, a primary site and we have an upriver, downriver. So those are added to the coliform sampling plan. We've already taken samples.
How many samples you take now a month? 30?
I don't think it's quite,
I don't think
I don't think it's quite
there.
that many.
No.
I think with plus, I'm thinking, for some reason I'm thinking 24.
Okay.
But I'd have to pull some numbers. just
No,
to
no,
make sure.
sure. I was
That's
just
off
curious.
the top of my head. We also took part in the cybersecurity analysis.
Before you leave the ACO.
Yes.
Have we seen, us commissioners seen all the documentation on that? Is
You
that
had,
something,
yeah, we emailed you
I
a full
know,
copy of it.
I remember seeing our response, I don't know about 30-day response thing. We see that?
I honestly don't know.
The
think
one we
so.
just sent in recently, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, I can get that to you.
Can I get a copy of that? Thank you very much.
Yeah, so, cybersecurity analysis. So this is a multi-step process. John and I met with the first private company who's performing this. It's an EPA requirement and it's followed up and enforced through DEP. So we went through, we answered quite a few of the questions. Basically, they're looking for how we access some of our data. They want multi-point authentication, you know, multiple security codes to be changed on a regular basis, all things to avoid any type of intrusion. We've worked on this. We had a vulnerability assessment. I'm trying to think of how long ago that was. It was a while ago. That was very lengthy and very in depth. And this is separate from that. I thought at the first it was the same, but now these are 2 separate.
They working with your SCADA company?
Yep, we had our SCADA tech join in on that meeting. The town's IT department wasn't available at the time. So we're working with them independently to set up a meeting because there's a lot of things that we can't answer from the town side of it, as far as what type of, you know, systems they run, what type of checks.
Is the skater at the treatment plant?
It is.
And that is, I mean, we're in the dark about that, and I guess we don't need to be, but I don't think we know anything really about it. And maybe that's fine. I don't know how much you need to know.
We could explain a little bit more in detail, probably not on camera, just
Right,
because
I
of
mean,
the whole
it's
purpose
security
of
stuff.
security
I understand.
reasons.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a computer, it's actually 2 separate computers, one for water, one for sewer. And it monitors all of the radio frequencies that we have in each of our stations, water and sewer, the tanks, everything. It reports back, gives us levels of, you know, what the pumps are at, what the wet wells are at, what the tanks are at. We can control and operate, you know, each of our devices from them. And the set points that you have in there, so that if for some reason something gets out of the parameter, it'll send you an alarm, it'll lock out a pump. You know, it's a pretty involved system. When you use it on a regular basis, you don't realize how involved and how important it is, but
So that's all technology that needs software. So is that software up to date? Is that part of your evaluation of the cybersecurity to actually review all that and make sure that we have, I would imagine it's all updated.
I would think it probably
whatever,
is.
and-
it is, and we have redundancies worked in with separate backup systems. So if one computer was to go down, whether it be lightning strike or anything odd like that,
We've had those.
the second system, we could run the entire town on it. So having 2 computers is beneficial for the speed and accuracy of gaining access to each individual department, but you also have the opportunity to run off of one.
I have a number of questions, but they can't be asked.
Okay, definitely, let me know what they are.
They're off, the stuff that I need to ask, but it's
Okay.
nothing we can talk about here.
Sure. Alright, so yeah, the town's IT department, we're coordinating a meeting with them and the analysis company to discuss some of the stuff on their side. You know, thankfully, the town computers and the SCADA system are completely separate from one another. So the opportunity to have intrusive connections, you know, as we have quite a few times, we've seen some spam emails and stuff come through. We just don't see that on the SCADA where it works on an independent network. Was 424 correct for the sanitary survey? This seems like it was a long time ago. So I wrote 424-25. We participated in the Mass DEP sanitary survey.
Who did it?
Scott Sayers.
Oh, sounds good.
We feel that we did actually pretty well.
Mhm.
He was aware of the ACO. He was aware of some of the other things from previous meetings that we had with other survey takers, I guess is lack of a better term for what they are. Could take up to 2 weeks before we see any of that review come back. We do need to complete the cybersecurity analysis because it's part of the review.
You have to complete it or a certain completion?
They said complete it.
Wow, really?
So we have another meeting set up with another person who, I believe they might be through Boston DEP. Gutra, I believe is the name.
So can you give me a snippet of what a sanitary survey is?
Yeah, so we have to provide any documents that DEP requests when they show up, whether it be training documents, copies of certain sample results, you know, for a certain day or anything like that. So basically, they're really investigating our record keeping and stuff here. After that is done, which that was a very simplified process. We were here for an hour and a half going over things. Then we take the inspector to the field. We go to each of our tanks, well houses, and basically anywhere they want to see. You know, they want to see a yard hydrant that we have set up for, you know, our coliform flushing program to make sure that it has a vacuum breaker on it. We take them there to show because that is, you know, something they can write up. So they basically go in, they check each connection, you know, make sure that if you're in a well, that there's no open ports or anything on the top, you know, even your connections that are supposed to go have to have some type of weather tight seal on it. So if in the event that there was a spill or a flood, or even just splashing mud off your boots, it doesn't go in. So it's a very in-depth, involved inspection of your facilities. Knock on wood, many years in a row, we've always had good results. They will always find something, that's their job, but most of the things are very
This is
simple.
annual?
Every
It's every 3 years,
3 to 5 years.
unless you have a change in your devices.
Okay.
So we were off by a little bit when the water treatment facility went online. We were off by a little bit when we put the 4-log pipe in over at well 3. So anytime an inspector is out, they have the ability to ask to go and inspect other places. And it's happened, and, you know, thankfully, knock on wood.
So we get graded on that?
We will.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're never gonna get an A+. That's just-
They'll give you recommendations, and for the most part, they're just there trying to help you out, make sure we're doing everything right. I mean, they go through everything, floor drains, everything. The paperwork is a big thing, part of it. You back.
I guess it's a good thing.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
very
sounds
good
like a
thing.
good thing.
You know, I mean, they've,
DEP's got some good staffing too, that are very helpful.
Mm.
Um,
yeah, they work with you on quite a
So they may find things that are outside of the normal maintenance process.
Signage, for instance, to make sure you're protected, you have well protection
Well protection
signs.
signs,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, so that's all
Yeah.
part of what they look for.
Yeah, stuff that you might overlook on a regular basis because you're in and out of these facilities all the time.
So just with water they're doing this?
Correct.
Okay.
Usually a day.
It
Usually they
takes
do.
a full day.
Yep.
Thankfully, we've never had to go into 2 days, but we hear other facilities have. And it's good to have a relationship with the people that are doing this, because you can bounce a few questions off them that you wouldn't typically be able to, you know, in any other type of circumstance, whether it be through email or something like that. So, to be able
So
to have a conversation is nice.
who takes the DEP guy run?
Typically, it's a group of us. So this time it was John, myself, and then we went with the primary well operator and a secondary to each of the facilities. That way, you know, anybody taking notes or anybody hears something, you know, you want multiple people there. to make sure that nothing's missed. One of the other items that they check is basically lockout on your wells. So they'll have you go in, as I had mentioned with SCADA, you have the opportunity to control different devices. So when we're physically in each of our well houses, we have a control panel there as well. And basically we'll change one of the set points to something above an alarm level to show to them that, when you get outside of a certain parameter, it'll trigger the well to lock out and shut down. Yeah. It'll also show the time it takes for the SCADA system to pick up on that and actually generate a phone call to the on-call phone and how we acknowledge it and what the access process is. So I've simplified it, immensely, as Steve would know.
Yeah, it's in depth. Yep.
So once we get the town's IT department back in touch with the company that's doing the cybersecurity analysis, and we complete our second step, I believe that moves towards the completion of the actual survey, and we'll get the recommendations. As you had mentioned, there was nothing imminent, or else we would have known about it that day. If there was something that was, blatantly obvious that they didn't like, they would have told you to fix it right then and there, even if it was a temporary fix. So works.
That was my next question, thank you.
Yep, no, that's, like I said, we do pretty good on these. The primary and secondary operators keep good tabs on the system and the condition of them. So I'm gonna jump way over to flow testing. May historically has always been one of our busiest months for flow testing. This May is not disappointing. We've had more than half of the days that we've had some type of a flow test going on, varying in size from fire pumps to hydrant flow tests to the regular smaller drain tests on the suppression systems. Thankfully, knock on wood, every single one of them has not created any type of disturbance, regardless of the size of the.
Are you guys
the
still
flow event.
flushing?
We have not started flushing because of the filters being offline.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that was the next distribution flushing.
Sorry,
Reading right
I've got
through
it.
the paper.
Sorry. I got ESPN.
So we're scheduled to do Red Mill, end of the month.
End of the month, yeah, multiple days. That
3
actually,
days lately.
that goes, well, how did Jen put it? With military precision as compared to some other venues that
We aim to please.
that we go to.
I'm meeting with Rustic on Friday, just go review the protocol.
Nice.
Just to let you know.
Good deal. Yeah, we've had to return to a few other venues where they were unable to gain access at the scheduled time.
That's not a
It's
problem.
unfortunate. No, never had an issue there. Knock on wood. So the flushing program has actually been on hold because we were very concerned about having 2 filters down out of 6. We were using, as we have in the past, the flow tests to basically disturb an area and then flush to the end of the line as far as we possibly could. And
I love that idea.
it just works out. You
Yeah.
can't generate those type of flows even when you're doing a flushing program. You're unilateral, you're limited. So if you have a hydrant flow test and you got to find out what your peak flow is, you're not going to see that, on any other time. Or if you have a fire pump test, again, you can't achieve that with regular operations. So by doing that and not having any distribution issues, no disturbances, not even a call, it's been amazing.
Good.
It falls in line with, we had 2 of our tanks cleaned, and there was an inch or 2 of debris in the bottom of these tanks, where typically in the past we'd seen feet or more. Wow. So we're
So that
pretty.
plant's working.
That plant is working.
Yeah.
We're pretty happy with the operations from the plant. We're gonna continue working with the flow test to work towards the area of the system. And we will be starting more than likely by the end of this month to do some light flushing, focusing on the dead ends, the high water age areas, the low use areas. So we will be out and about. We're gonna try and do it during the day. We've had such good luck, but most of our tests, the flow tests, are done during the day, the smaller ones. So we think we can achieve that, and it'll avoid the extra run hours at the water treatment facility, which would also lead to extra man hours. So we're gonna give it a shot. We're not going high volume. We think we probably get a pretty good handle on it. Some of the areas that we may have problems with traffic, we may, have a few people come in at night, just hammer those out, get them done. So
Good.
There's a proposed project that we're working on now. It's not ready to come before the board, but just to give you guys a heads up. This is a commercial property on South Worcester Street, very close to the old Cisco building. Cisco is like in the 378, 380 range. This is just downstream from that. So it's a very small build out on this property. There's gonna be 3 small commercial buildings. I believe 2 are warehouses. John can correct me if I'm wrong. And 1 is gonna be possibly an office or, you know, basically their little
Is it
headquarters.
near the farm, on the farm is there?
Between the farm and Cisco in that
Okay,
wooded area that has a chain link fence up there.
okay.
Originally, they had proposed this same location with a different set of plans, and I think that fell through. Something changed. That was gonna actually have a water main loop and hydrants in there. This is a much smaller design. I believe it's a different company, even though I haven't confirmed that. So based on the layout and the small size of the structures, they won't be required to have fire suppression. They're actually looking to add a hydrant because this is an older section of South Worcester Street, so they want the peace of mind to have a hydrant in that general location. You know, so if unfortunately anything ever goes wrong, it's very close to their property. They've proposed 2 options. So originally they were gonna show a water main down, I believe, the right side of the property, ending in a hydrant with 3 service connections off of that. Very similar to stuff that we've done in other areas where a loop hasn't been required or wasn't feasible. After explaining that they had a few options, they came back with a second set of ideas. And I'm not really on board with it, but it could work. They were looking to do 3 1-inch water services directly off South Worcester,
Spaghetti lines?
but the buildings are set back pretty far.
Oh.
So they're really pushing the boundaries of a spaghetti line.
Yeah, I like that,
Um,
either.
so we're still working with them to try and
Okay.
finalize some details here. Obviously, we would prefer the shortest water service as possible. If they are adamant that
Are all 3 buildings way back?
two are set back, it's almost in a pyramid. There's 1 in the middle and then 2 set back to the sides. Exceeding 100 feet, which is, you know, kind of pushing the limits of what you really want on a water service. You know, we've recommended to others in the past who had no option, you know, their house was set that far back. To put in a full port flushing device after the water meter, so that they have an option of flushing their line.
Right.
Where we don't have the option of flowing a hydrant and clearing the line, if any sediment, debris, or anything happens. You know, stuff that you can't control. It's not gonna be within the first 2 years you have an issue, it's gonna be 3 or 4 years down the line with all this very low flow. That it's inevitable, you're gonna have sediment in that line that could be problematic, so. That was mentioned to them that's a possibility if they do determine that they have no other placement on the
And that's
property.
something they just take it upon themselves to do whenever they feel like it, or they still call the town
No,
and say.
no.
"Hey, we're gonna-"
No, it'd be on themselves, it'd be after the water meter. Typically,
Right.
you know, we would recommend possibly plumbing it to an outside, you know, drain or dump, you know, have a ball valve inside with a pitch, so you can
But
have.
it's
you know,
not enough flow that you would wanna know about it when they do it every time.
No. No, it'd be very similar if somebody had a yard hydrant hooked up and was using a large quantity of water once in a while, but it gives them the opportunity to flush at will, maintain water quality, and if there was a disturbance, you know, they could handle it on their own, so. There's definitely options there, even though it's not necessarily something I would recommend. You know, we've come up with a solution to, you know.
Well, isn't
that.
the requirement normally if you set back 100 feet to have put a water meter pit in, go that way?
No, pits are actually an option. The only time we've had, water meters in pits installed was actually when there was no basement available. You know, it definitely could be used the same way, but,
I don't like it myself.
What
No,
does that mean, that they want me to fit?
Well, normally when it's, you want spaghetti lines because.
Right, right.
Purposes.
Right.
And the city of Boston's not allowed at all.
Mhm.
Period.
yeah, we had language in the rules and regulations many years back. I remember reading it and laughing about it. It said spaghetti line in there. And the looping requirement is actually what I think, took out that language. There was some messy language in there. So by requiring the loop, it eliminated, you know, the language for, you know, spaghetti line to be anywhere in the regulations. So hopefully we hear from them in a short period of time, and then we can bring that for you for a vote. basically what they would be asking for if it does come forward with the single line and the hydrant would be a waive on the loop requirement, which we'd still have the benefit of having the hydrant at the end and
Mm.
being able to flush,
Mm.
added fire protection and one opening in the road instead of 3 or 4.
Right.
So it works for multiple reasons. That is all I have.
All right,
What do you got, John?
Well, as all of you most likely know by now, the end of this month, I will be leaving the water department to pursue another opportunity. I just wanted to say thank you to the board. Since I've been here, you guys have been nothing but supportive of everything Frank and I have tried to do. And, I've really enjoyed my time here. I'm sad to be leaving. But I just wanted to say thank you to you guys and the residents and Frank for taking a chance on me, and hope to keep in touch with you all.
You're welcome, and thank you as well, John.
yeah, we really appreciate everything you've done. We've come a long way and you're a big part of that. And we appreciate everything you've done for us, stepping in for Frank when he was out and never skipped a beat. So, you're nothing but class, and we're gonna miss you.
Thank
Good
you
luck in
very
your-
much.
in your new
Yeah,
endeavors.
definitely good luck. Totally
Appreciate it.
understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
I need a hug.
So, on John's replacement, although he cannot be replaced,
Exactly.
I imagine that's something that's done through the water department, or is it done through the town hall? or
The
how's that?
process involves the water department, but ultimately goes through the town manager. So we are working with that process right now, as John is still here and still could change his mind. We have not posted the position just yet.
Okay, just curious,
Should we hold our breath?
probably not.
All right, we're gonna step right into Weston and Sampson. Who wants to go first? I'm sure you have a lot to talk about now, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, I got half a book, I guess. No, I have nothing compared. Frank did a great job summarizing all my talking points. So you did awesome. Tara, I don't know if you want to go or you want me to go. It's up to you.
You're on the roll, go for it.
All right, perfect. Well, John, we're gonna miss you without a doubt. It's sad to hear the official statement today. So, yeah, like Frank had said, the big item I was going to talk about was just the update on the Elm Street sewer extension and water mains improvements project. Town meeting is next Monday. We have the article for $6 million for water and sewer only, just the modified option. At this point, like I said, it's going to be Steve or I, most likely Steve, giving the presentation, unless Mike Units thinks otherwise. But yeah, split decision, unfortunately, with the boards, which is, very, very interesting that it happened. Haven't really heard anything from any of the local residents on what the temperature is with them and how they received the modified project. But we'll see what happens. So the big thing with that is if it does get approved and it passes, there'll be a crunch to get the revised plans put together, get it out to bid, and then hopefully award a notice to proceed to a low bidding contractor by the end of July, essentially. And then we'll hit the ground running with the construction and go from there. So other than that, the only other two things I had was just we're buttoning up all the peer reviews. That Mansfield Ave peer review with Peister and Level Design Group is still ongoing. We're just finalizing some things with them. And then the Zero Reservoir Street project is just still ongoing, buttoning up some stuff with that. Other than that, the high school, Yale School sewer connection, that's slated to start construction. We're going to start construction when school's out. Working with the contractor to kind of modify some things. They had wanted to put in some new pumps, but the prices came in high. I'm pretty sure it's been mentioned a couple times, but we're currently working with the contractor to get them, something that's viable and something that they can actually construct over the summer and get essentially get them connected in the sewers rather than pumping out to a few pump stations. So yeah, those are the only updates I had. If you guys have any questions on the Elm Street project or anything else, I'm happy to answer them. But At this point, it's up to the residents.
I got a quick question on that, actually. The $3.5 million grant that we would lose if not done by a certain time, is that based on finishing the project by a date or spending the money by that date? Okay, so if it's not done, but we've spent the money, we're good.
The first,
Correct.
the first chunk of money we're gonna spend,
Yeah, okay. good.
Yeah.
as I understand.
So if
Exactly.
it gets approved at town meeting, we're guaranteed to get that, so we're gonna go forward with it and spend it. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and they, like Frank had said, the funding agents that we'd met with from the MassWorks department, they don't want to see it go. They want to, they're like, all right, let us know how it goes, and we'll see if we can come up with something. They're like, it's a slim chance if we can, if it gets shut down, but they don't want to see that $3.5 million go either, because it's a big chunk of money. So
All right,
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
no problem.
Miss Tara?
Yeah,
feeling?
it's not better. It was just a little incident overnight, so. I did, there was pretty much good update on the water side of things as well by Frank. So the only thing I just want to confirm is that we were given a set of the plans for 225 South Worcester. And we already have it marked up on our plans for what CC Construction will add into 12x8 gate valves, T's with gate valves on one. We actually are putting a T right in between within 50 feet of two gate valves. So we don't have any really issues with this development at all. It's something that we knew was coming. We just need to know exactly what they want to do for the connection, and we haven't started out there. So good news is that we'll be able to leave some stubs and be ready for them. I did actually, Frank, I know I called you right before the meeting, but I did get an email from CC, and they are still on target to start mid-June to get back out there for South Worcester. We were trying to wait for school to end, which I believe the last day of school is June 17th. They're planning to be out there tentatively on June 23rd, which is a Monday. So that'll be start of construction with some mobilization, maybe some delivery of materials a couple of days in advance. So I'll move it ahead to as planned. And I guess I just want to open up if there's any water questions. I know Frank covered a bunch on water today.
Sounds good.
I can't think of any. I might think of something later.
I was going to say, Steve,
We'll
come
call you.
on.
We'll call you.
You got my cell. No worries.
Mhm.
Well, some of you do. All right. That's about it on my end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Tara. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, we have any new business, old business,
Do we need to do anything with this?
monkey business?
Well, we haven't done anything
Vote or
with that
anything
yet.
like that, or the guy part of the draft that?
So that was my idea. We're talking about the, just a note saying, this all came out when we had a dispute of several months ago. And the way it was going was the particular resident was more or less indicating to us that he didn't like our resolution, and he was
Right.
more or less threatening to sue us,
Yeah.
even though we had rebated him on the sewer aspect.
Yeah.
So that's why that was drafted. Whether or not we somehow lived without it to date, so we probably can live without it in the future. I'm just saying, I was just reacting to it, just an incident, that here we were being nice guys, and that wasn't gonna be good enough. But as I mentioned, I did talk to that particular person and got him to see our perspective, and he dropped it. So maybe.
So maybe we just keep it
Maybe
on
it's
back
not
burner
needed.
until it applies to something and then
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good document. I think it's a good,
get a case, like I said earlier.
I don't wanna make
If it
a
was a
mountain out,
citizen-
I
if it
don't wanna
was
make a mountain out of a molehill, but
if
if
it
we
was a-
don't need it, we don't need it.
Yeah, with a
Yeah.
tiny amount of money, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
We're not worrying
And I
about
don't
how
think it
much
needs to
was.
be
Huge
some sort of
numbers.
stock letter. It's something if the board feels they need to send it out on a particular
Yeah, we're making a deal
case.
with
Case by
somebody.
case.
Right.
Yeah,
We're making a deal with
Yeah.
somebody, they should have some obligation that this is the deal, it's good for 30 days, so.
Yep.
you know.
I just wanted to bring it up to the green folder, so.
yep, I like it. I like it. Good job, Steve.
Next
I got June, oh, where are we at? June, oh, that's July. June 10th?
Yeah,
Tuesday,
so,
June 10th.
yeah, we have to hold that because I have my annual meeting for my trustees at Red Mill that week. And
Okay.
the last time I tried to do both of them at the same time, it didn't work out too well. for me.
Okay,
Okay, so
I'm
we
pretty
put it
flexible, I'm
away
pretty
for-
flexible.
Okay.
I just can't do it, I can't do it the week before, but I mean,
No, June 10th is fine.
okay. All right, if you run into an issue though, I'm pretty
that's
flexible. Okay,
You good?
Yep.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
No, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Great meeting.
Outstanding.